Hello champions, welcome to our very first instructional video. Here is where we will build upon everything that we learned in the semester and continue to maintain and sharpen our skills. So I ask that you remain very positive and extend a great effort all the way until the end of the video. There is where I will give you all the information that we will need for next week. Welcome and enjoy. Hello champions, today we are going to be going over efficient strategies. Our efficient strategy for the day is going to be distributive property. What is distributive property? Have we forgotten? Let's see. So distributive property helps us solve blank equations by separating those equations into blank to solve equations. Try to figure out what those blanks are. And you champions are so smart, so I know that wasn't hard for you. The first word should have been difficult or hard or challenging, anything along those lines. And then the second word should have been easy, right? Easy. So, distributive property helps us solve difficult equations by separating those equations into easy to solve equations. That's efficient. We like things fast. We like things easy. Now let's see what that looks like. So, distributive property only requires 3 steps, alright? Our first step for this equation, 17 times 11, is going to be pick the most difficult number and separate it into easy numbers. I wonder what you guys can come up with. So for step 1, I chose 17 because I can't think of 17 times, 6 and just come up with it off the top of my head. But for 11, I know anything times 11 is pretty much just that number twice. So because I know some easy strategies for 11, I'm going to definitely break down 17 into some easy numbers that I can work with. And I chose the numbers 10 plus 7, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and think about why I would have chosen 10 plus 7. Alright, so I chose 10 plus 7 because 10 is a super easy number to multiply by. And the whole point of this distributive property is to make things easier for us. So let's go ahead and move on to step 2. Excellent. So, step 2 tells us to create 2 equations that are easy to solve. Now, these 2 equations do have to equal the 17 times 11 because that is what we originally are looking for, right? The first step, we separated the 17 into 10 plus 7, which still equals 17. Those numbers are in parentheses, times 11 equals question mark. We're still trying to figure that out, and that's why we have these 2 equations on the 3rd row. So, 10 times 11. 10 times 11, that's super easy. We know that anything times 10, we just add a 0 to it. We just drop the 0. So that's going to come out to be 110. And then don't forget that plus sign because we are adding these 2 equations together so we can find the full product. And then we go over here to this other parentheses in our equation. And it's super easy because we know that anything times 11 is just itself twice. We know that. 11 times 7, we should have gotten 77. Okay. So now we're at step 3. Solve full equation. The full equation. So we have our equation in our final form. And now all we have to do is add these things up to get the answer for 17 times 11. So we just need to add these things up here. 7 plus 0, we know that that's 7. And then 1 plus 7, we know that that's 8. And then 1 plus 0, we know that that's going to be 1. So the answer for our 17 times 11 should have been 187. So let's try another one. We have 21 times 5 here. Now, we can, count our 5s up to 21. But yikes, that's not fast. So let's go ahead and try to figure out what our most difficult number is. And how should we separate the difficult number into easy numbers? I chose 21 to be my most difficult number because I know my 5's pretty good, but I don't really know 21 factors the best. So I divided or separated 21 by 11 plus 10 because 11 plus 10 does equal 21, and 11 and 10 are super easy numbers to multiply. For step 2, for 21 times 5 equation, I wrote 2 equations that look like this parentheses 11 times 5, parentheses plus, parentheses 10 times 5, parentheses equals the number that we're looking for, okay? So the two equations that you make have to still have all the components of 21 times 5. And here, in these two equations, we do. We have our 11 and 10 broken down because we wanted to break down the 21. And then we have the times 5 because we were always multiplying that number by 5. So now that step 2 is completely done, we move on to step 3. So now that we're at step 3, we need to solve the full equation. We have done an excellent job in creating easy equations for us to solve so we can solve the full equation 21 times 5. So we're going to start with this first parentheses with the things in the parentheses first for sure, okay? So we have 11 times 5. We know that is 55. That's super easy. We know that. Anything times 11 is going to just be that number twice. We know that. And then we have in our other set of parentheses here, 10 times 5. Okay, we know anything times 10 is just that number with a 0. Okay, we just drop the 0 with the 5, and that gives us what we need to know. And now we're at an equation that has no multiplication because we already have done it. And here we are needing to solve. And this should be super easy. Go ahead and pause it here and come back to get the solution. And our answer is going to be 105. 105. We know all we got to do is add the tens place. 5 goes up in the tens place to a 10. And then in the ones place, we have 5. Very good. Let's try another. Okay, champions. We have one more equation to solve. Yes, 7 times 31. Go ahead. Pause the video right here. Work through step 1, step 2, and step 3 to see how well you have mastered this efficient strategy. Okay, 7 times 31. For step 1, I picked the most difficult number and separated into easy numbers. 31, wow, obviously the hardest number. I mean, I know my 7's pretty good, but 31, sheesh. So I separated 31 into 20 plus 11, or you could have tried 30 plus 1. Those things would have worked very well and have been very efficient. So for step 2, we created 2 easy equations for us to solve. And of course, we're going to start with the information inside of the parentheses. We have 7 times 11. We know anything times the number 11 is just itself twice. So we're going to write 77 here. And then we have 7 times 20. Now, we know any tens number, all you have to do is drop the 0. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and drop that 0. And then we're going to look at 7 times 2, which is a super easy equation we know off the top of our heads. 7 times 2 is 140. And then we have this last step here, 140 plus 77. We should have gotten 7 and then 21. We should have gotten 217 as our final product. And if you did not get that, go ahead and just go back and check your work. I'm sure that you will figure it out once you just take your time and check your work. All right, champions, please solve these equations using distributive property on your own sheet of paper. I want you to make sure you are creating the most efficient equations for each and every one of these difficult equations, and of course checking your work and trying your best, okay? Thank you for making it all the way to the end of our video. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Yes, a very good pat because you deserve it. Now, as you know, next week we will have our parent-teacher conferences, so we will actually not have any direct instruction with our teachers from Monday and Tuesday. But on Wednesday, we will be implementing a new hangout time for Wise Champion Wednesday. And there, we will talk about our answers, or maybe the things that we're struggling with, or maybe just some stories about how we're using our efficient strategies. So, our Touch Base Tuesday will be canceled this week due to the parent-teacher conferences. Please be on the lookout for our weekly newsletter that comes out every single Monday that will reiterate everything that we learned today and the schedule for next week. I look forward to meeting with all of you. I look forward to hearing about all of your comments about our videos to help them be better. You know, we're always trying to get better. We're champions all the way around. And I look forward to next week. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next time.